Good morning and welcome to Norcal APEX Accelerator's webinar, Commercialize Your Innovations, SBIR, STTR, and more. My name is Amanda Anderson. I'm the program coordinator for Norcal APEX Accelerator, and today I'm joined by our fantastic procurement specialist, Frank Luna. But before I pass it off to him for the main presentation, I do want to let you know a little bit about APEX Accelerators and how we can help you with government contracting assistance. So, the APEX Accelerator program is a nationwide network of over 96 centers that are funded through government grants, so federal, state, and local grants, to help you with government contracting through education, training, counseling, and resources. The best part is that all of these services, no matter where you're located in the US, are at absolutely no cost to you. So whether you're within our NorCal service area, or maybe you're in Southern California and working with a Southern California APEX Accelerator, there are quite a few just in California alone. And all of our services are free. But what exactly does that government contracting assistant look like? What are those services in particular? Well, at NorCal APEX Accelerator, we are able to offer our services to the 15 Northern California counties that you see on your screen. And we offer our services through three main pillars. First, our one-on-one counseling, where once you sign up with us as a client, you're paired with a procurement specialist just like Frank, who can sit down with you one-on-one over Zoom, or if you are located near one of our offices, you can sit down in person with a counselor and go over any issues, hiccups, or hurdles you've been experiencing with government contracting. Whether it's a tricky certification application, or maybe you're having trouble registering in SAM, or maybe you're looking for more innovation opportunities and looking to get into SBIR and STTR in a more in-depth way, looking for more resources on that front. You can sit down with your counselor on your time when you make an appointment with them, and they can help you with anything related to government contracting. But another great benefit is our custom bid matching program, which is another benefit that our clients get. This is actually a software that our program allocates funds for. So we pay for this software so that we can offer to you absolutely free. And what this software does is it allows you to sit down with your counselor and determine criteria that you're looking for when you're looking for a good solicitation. So maybe you're looking for products or services needed in a specific geographical location. That location could be a criteria you're looking for in the solicitations. Or maybe your product is so innovative and new that the product name itself would be good criteria you're looking for. Your procurement specialist can help you figure out exactly what you're looking for, exactly what your business needs, and what criteria makes sense for you. And once we plug it into our software, the software will scrape federal, state, and local procurement sites for opportunities that are relevant to you, and it'll email them directly to you. And our third pillar of resources is our resources and trainings, which you're actually taking advantage of right now. We put on a number of webinars and in-person events throughout the year covering a variety of topics, from introductory level certification overviews to covering mentor protege programs and how they can benefit you as a small business. And as we are discussing today, we even go into more complicated topics like innovation programs and SBIR and DPA Title III. But on top of these webinars and trainings, we also maintain a robust website with links and resources all available to you for you to explore. And the best part about this pillar and why it is my favorite is because this is absolutely free and available to anybody, not just our clients. So whether you're in our service area and just haven't signed up with us yet, or maybe you're out of our service area and just looking for resources and information, you can check out our website and you are always welcome to join our trainings. And I do see a quick question I'd love to address. How about LA? LA does have an APEX Accelerator that covers that area. I'll go ahead and drop that link once I pass it over to Frank for you. And that's a great segue into you absolutely should sign up for APEX Accelerator services if you're looking for government contracting assistance. If you're not within our service area, there is absolutely a center near you. Remember, we are nationwide. And remember, we are absolutely no cost. This advising, this support, this resource, we can be there for you throughout your entire government contracting journey. And so with that, I will go ahead and close off with a mild training disclosure as this is recorded. The information provided herein is accurate to the best of the presenter's ability at the time of this presentation. Some or all of the provisions mentioned herein could or may be changed by the current administration, with or without notice. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Frank.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and good morning to everybody. And I just wanted to take a special note and give thanks to Amanda for supporting our programs and supporting the workshops that we provide. She's been a tremendous help. And as you can see, she does a great job in presenting what we do and what we do to support our clients. But thank you again for spending the time today with us. And today we'll go over the agenda that we're going to cover over the GIPs. So what is a GIP? A government-led innovation program. Now it's gonna be an overview of the programs. We're not gonna get too much into the weeds. If you do want to get into these programs, then I do definitely advise that you do use the support of APEX to help you navigate through these channels. Navigating through government is not simple. It can be confusing. The language is definitely not for everybody. And as you see, we'll get into a lot of acronyms. And I actually consider myself a trilingual. I am bilingual, but trilingual because I know government speak. Okay, so again, we did mention the training disclosure. So the speed of change that is currently happening in government is definitely real, but there is always change within government's procurement and government's needs. The focus of today is going to be innovation, Small Business Innovation Research Programs, SBIR, and the STTR program, which is a technology transfer. We're going to cover also science and technology BAAs, broad agency announcements. There's also GIPs that are called challenges. They're more prize or competition for crowdsourcing campaigns. Lastly, on our agenda, we're going to cover the DPA Title III. And these are investments where government needs to increase the industrial base for, again, government need and also national security. So again, what is a GIP? These are programs that are led to develop new technology, specifically in the needs for government. I'm not going to read the slides verbatim because you guys will receive all the slides and plus the recording. So I'm going to try and give you what I've seen in these programs and also what are the focus of these programs. When you're reading these programs as a small business, you want to focus on a couple of things. You want to focus on eligibility of these programs, and you want to focus on what is the criteria to apply. But again, these programs were developed in order to establish new ideas for R&D, but the end result is to commercialize your idea. They were established again under the Small Business Innovation Development Act in 1982, and they are federally funded. Annually, we do get an update of the federally funds that are available for these programs and the agencies that are participating that you will see in these future slides. But it's important to understand that these are for innovation. These programs have also resulted in patents for small businesses. They've supported over 700 public companies and have created over $50 billion in venture capital investments. Again, economic development for small businesses to grow their ideas for commercialization. The purpose, and the purpose is R&D. R&D development needs, again, for commercialization. They are to stimulate innovation within the small business sector for government need. They are, again, to foster and encourage participation in the many different socioeconomic classes that are available in small businesses. The technology transfer is also an area where you can utilize for existing technology to transfer over into utilizing R&D institutions to transfer your technology for commercialization or use within government need to solve the available needs of government. The focus today in this section and the largest section is going to be the SBIR and the STTR program. Now, the SBIR program, again, was established in 1982. It's to stimulate innovative technology within the U.S. throughout the investment of federal dollars for R&D funds into high-tech small businesses. Now, this applies to agencies that have certain budgets over 100 million in set-aside percentages of their annual extramural R&D budgets for small businesses. And the small business set-aside goal for government is 23% of that spend. So the government has a rule in the FAR clause of Federal Acquisitions Regulations that 23% of that spend is allocated for small businesses, again, for local economic impact. It's the STTR, the STTR, and again, similar to the SBIR, except this is in pursuit of technology innovation through cooperative partnerships with R&D nonprofits or educational research institutions. The budgets are a little bit larger. There are less agencies that do take part in this one sector of the GIP. But again, it is 23% of that budget that is funded for this program for small businesses to work with R&D universities and other educational institutions to fund their programs and see them through. So what does it look like? What are the eligibility criteria for a small business in order to participate? We do provide a link for the in-depth eligibility criteria for you to take a look at. But first and foremost, you have to be a for-profit. For-profit because eventually your R&D project is going to be commercialized. You have to be US controlled, owned and controlled, a US citizen, or at least the majority ownership has to be a US citizen or a permanent resident. The small business size standard does apply, so you have to be within that small business size standard according to your NAICS code. And we'll use this one that is mostly tied to R&D, that is tied to employees of a size standard less than 500. You have to be located and domiciled in the US. And the R&D projects must be performed in the US as well. The company control research space for grant projects again, and then the link there for the eligibility criteria. But it is important for you to understand the eligibility criteria to build your company in order to proceed to the next phase of the SBIR. And you'll see in later slides the phases that are required for this program. Now, there are subtle differences, as we mentioned, between the two programs. So within the SBIR, you'll have this chart for later reference where you can see what the two differences are. Now, SBIR is definitely innovative where it doesn't exist, and it is something new that is coming to market. SBIR is technology transfers. So it could be used for existing technology that can be repurposed for commercialization. Venture capitals are allowed in SBIR, but no, not allowed in the STTR program due to the nonprofit association. And again, SBIR program has 11 agencies that are participating in those contract vehicles compared to the STTR program where there's 5 agencies. So again, this is the main part where a lot of companies do need to spend their time and identify if it is revolutionary or evolutionary. And those are the two big differences between these two programs. Most of the times when in my experience, when I've seen clients begin with a SBIR program, they think that is revolutionary, but you really have to dissect what it is. Is it taking existing technology or a component of an existing technology and repurposing that technology for a new product, service, or system? That is not considered revolutionary. That would be more suited to a STTR program. So you really have to look at, does your revolutionary product, system, process, does it necessitate patents? Does it necessitate maybe intellectual property protection? Things that you need to look at when you're looking at your project and realizing or determining what of these two programs you would fall under. Next slide. And the participating agencies, so you can understand, depending on where your program lies, which of these agencies you can begin to look at and begin to do your market research to see if there's projects and opportunities within these two vehicles. As I mentioned, the funding for these programs is pretty consistent. It is about $4 billion, and the STTR program is about 500 million. The biggest pie of the programs is the Department of Defense, second by HHS, DOE, NSF, and NASA. As last I checked, the program's funding for fiscal year 24-25 is going to be consistent, and there is no additional funds. It is pretty much just consistent of this. Now, contracting versus granting agencies. There's two separate vehicles. These are two totally separate contract vehicles that do require different contract or different company structures, and also how you attack these or what your strategy is to respond to either a contract vehicle or a grant opportunity. A contract vehicle is going to be very defined of what the scope of work and what is the problem that needs to be solved. It is very binding. It is going to be governed by the federal acquisitions regulations. The FARs and the DFARs can be applied. There is also the defense federal acquisitions supplements that will be applied by the following agencies under the contracting agencies. Under grants, the project is less well defined. The approach to the program allows the offer or the person who is presenting the proposal more flexibility to arrive at a solution. Granting agencies are listed below. So depending on what your project and how the contract vehicle is laid out, you can either be looking at a contract vehicle or a grant opportunity. Very different, but similar when you're looking at research and development opportunities within government. Now, this is strictly within research and development in the technology sector. You will see other grant opportunities for different categories, but in this section, it is tied to technology. Next slide. As I mentioned, the STTR program is a three-phase program. The first phase is the feasibility study, and the duration can be long, can be 6 to 12 months. One thing that we do recommend in government is patience. Patience is definitely needed, and if you're new to government, navigating through the channels of registrations, certifications, and just becoming a vendor can be quite daunting. We definitely recommend, again, we're here to help, and we recommend that you ask the questions. Don't assume anything within the application process or as you're reading the current opportunity, and make sure that you ask the questions. Not only is the SBIR program there, the SBA is available as well, but Apex is here to help you with the technical challenges as you're navigating through each of these phases. Phase 2 is the full research, the R&D to prototype. So as you can see, each of these phases are funded to different levels. And phase 3, the ultimate goal for phase 3 is commercialization. Your project has to be able to be commercialized. That idea that you have, not only is it for the government, but has to have a general use for the general public as well. So think about it as the government is supporting your idea, not only for government use, but for you to develop your small business to, again, be a standalone company, not just for government. There is a planner within the website, the SBIR's.gov website, and you'll have in other slides some easy navigational slide decks that you'll be able to look. But there's a planner where, again, this is a long play. You need to plan ahead with government. The other recommendation I have for small businesses is not to be reactive when you're planning out your government strategy. Many times I do see clients where they see an opportunity that's posted and they attack it, and it's all hands on deck, and they react to the situation. Reaction, sometimes you don't have enough time to prepare a viable response and can lead to mistakes. It is good to plan ahead. There's always planners that tell you when projects are coming forth, not only now, but in future quarters and future fiscal years. If you really need to form your strategy and plan ahead, please utilize the support of Apex. I've been in this industry for over 30 years, and I've probably made every mistake that you can think of. Whether it's been a technical issue, whether I've been ruled out, disqualified for not signing a document, not checking a box, and I've also won contracts at a loss, pricing errors. So definitely use the support that is available, and business plan is definitely recommended. Next slide. Keep in mind when you are developing new technology, you have to take into consideration data rights. Data rights, of course, the government receives the ultimate non-exclusive license through this program, and that is for a 20-year period. There's going to be NDAs all over these programs, non-disclosure agreements that you will have to abide by. So it is important that you, again, read all the documentation within the program. Again, the key words are must and shall. You shall abide by the certain compliance rules within the program. So as you are developing these programs, your data rights not only apply to the contract, but also you and your program. We talked about patents. We talked about intellectual properties. Be aware and be sure that you secure your data. And the SBA's role. This is an SBA program, sponsored program, and the SBA does a very nice job that provides oversight, guidance, and compliance for all programs. We not only support small businesses in training, but they also market these programs to Congress to keep the funds coming, to keep the R&D and the agencies continuing to develop these new technologies from small businesses in an effort to support, again, small business economic development. By supporting these programs and awarding these contracts and these grant opportunities for small businesses, the goal is for small businesses to grow, to hire, to add buildings, to add infrastructure to their small businesses. Small businesses play a huge role in the government industrial base. Right now, we are currently deficient in the government industrial base by small businesses in up to 39%. It's probably due to many factors, businesses going out, businesses due to, of course, pandemic and other economic factors. But the SBA is continually supporting research and development for economic development and the needs of the government. Next slide. Now, their SBIR site, there's currently two sites. There's going to be, as you'll see, a legacy site, and there's currently a new site. We're currently updating our platforms, and if you've seen or registered within SAM, you've probably seen the migration from old to new. And when I started in the industry, there used to be 8 individual websites that you needed to register in order to do business with the government. I've been in this business so long that it was even before websites, we had paper forms that had to fill in and snail mail everything. The nice thing is that technology has allowed us to have everything at our fingertips. So under the SBIR's Gov, you want to focus under portfolio. You can see award data. You can search your company's data, other company data for partnerships, for research, for market research. But you want to take a deep dive into these websites and do the adequate market research, again, to build your market strategy for government. Next slide. As I mentioned, the legacy slide is no longer available, or what is no longer available on the site. There is some things on the legacy site that you will see. We do provide a link to the legacy site where you can take a look at what is available. Again, this will migrate over, we hope, to the new site where you will have the functionality of the legacy combined with the new and its functionality of the updated new site. Next slide. The legacy slide, see, this is the legacy site. The next slide, please. The new site walks you through on how to apply. The great thing about government is that it is a step-by-step process. You cannot move to the next process until you satisfy the first initial phase. So the great thing is that, again, it is a step-by-step process. But we understand that you, as a small business, you guys are an expert within your field. You do not need to understand all the ins and outs of government, the FAR clauses, and things like that. We're here to support. Next slide. So our advisors know how to navigate through these websites and show you how to browse agencies for opportunities, search by via specific topic. If you want to search maybe AI, robotics, any other technology, you can search opportunities in this website. Next slide. And the results will be by agency. What are the current opportunities by agencies and their contract vehicles that are listed? Some are SBIRs, and as you can see, some can be both. And here's where you will see the 11 participating agencies. Next slide. You can search for opportunities via topics or just begin to scroll through all the opportunities that you see. There's a plethora of filters also that you can utilize to plan your market research, to look at the future data, existing data, and any of the other filters that you might choose. Again, be careful of the what I call paralysis by analysis. There is a ton of data on these websites, so you want to make sure that you have a game plan. I'm going to go for look for X, and you want to make sure that you stay focused because you can go down many rabbit holes within these websites. Trust me. Next slide. The legacy site does have online tutorials. Be aware that some of them are out of date. Again, it is a legacy site, but there's some good information on this site. If you go to the next slide, you'll see a list of tutorials that might help you prepare your market and your business plan for an SBIR and STTR. Again, some of this is a legacy site, so some of this information will be outdated. But applying for the process, some of the information that doesn't change is good practice to review. And now we're going to go to the BAA announcements, broad agency announcements. Next slide. So a BAA in general is an announcement of the federal agency's research interest, including the criteria for selecting proposals and soliciting the participation of firms capable of satisfying the government's need. And we put a FAR clause in there if you want to read the FAR clause. There's 53 parts of the FAR, and unfortunately I've read them all. So if you do have a bit of insomnia, you can go to acquisitions.gov and begin that reading process. If you are new to government, I do recommend there are two sections of the FAR that are critical for a small business. They're not too lengthy, which is the good part. So FAR Part 19 and FAR Part 44. Write that down, which you'll have a recording. But those are critical for small business because it states what is the contractual requirement for small businesses within the federal arena. Next slide. So the criteria, again, to solicit R&D. And it's encouraged when, of course, when we're at a need for state-of-the-art knowledge. When the government has a need or a specific interest, they will launch a BAA. They can vary from technical to very scientific approaches for specific solutions that are needed. Okay, they're very broad in some cases, and as you'll see, the terms can be, I've seen an example of how to solve oil spills. We have a current solution, but the government is looking for maybe a new and an innovative solution. So it is meant to encourage D to solve an existing problem, state of the art, and foster new ideas. An award may become in different areas, different vehicles. It can become in a form of a grant. It can be in any of these transactions. Again, there is a lot of flexibility to these BAA announcements, and they'll assist a company in many different areas in order to achieve the desired result. So if you have a nonprofit, they will issue a grant. If you have a for-profit, then they could invest in your development of technology. So again, there are different assistant types that can be applied to any BAA depending on the need and also depending on the type of company that is addressing the need. Next slide. In grants.gov and also in SAM, you can search just a simple keyword and list BAA, and you will receive a list of all the current BAAs where you can begin to form your market strategy, research for the agencies that are in need of BAAs. And again, the BAAs can come from many different agencies. One that I just saw that I mentioned was from the Coast Guard. They're looking to a solution for possible oil spills. Next slide. Challenges. Challenges are fun. Next slide. So challenges are price competitions. And these are fun because they are open to anybody and everybody that has an idea. It can be offered to students, hobbyists. The results of these challenges have been wide. Of course, it's been open since 2010, and the government has run 1,600 prize competitions since the inception of this program. Now, the challenges have also uh, created some very unique, as you'll see here, some very unique products that have made it to fruition. One of them has been what we call the lunar loo, which is the space toilet that has been developed through some of these challenges. There's been design challenges that have been used to design, as we state here, U.S. Capitol and also the White House. So very different, and these, I guess, are more of the fun crowdsourcing competitions that the government puts out, again, for anybody and everybody that has a small business, that has an idea that can probably make somebody's life a little bit easier. There is a website where the prizing competitions and crowdsourcing campaigns are listed. It's challenge.gov. It's managed by the Technology Transfer Service within GSA. And here's the platform where you can do your due diligence and search for these opportunities where you can compete. So it is, again, open to the general public. Not a lot of rules. These contractual rules apply to these prize competitions. They're not as intrusive and binding as a contract that is riddled with FAR regulations or DFAR regulations. Again, they are crowdsourcing campaigns that are more of a prize competition. Again, take a look at any of these programs, and if you see that you can apply to any of these programs, definitely move forward, seek the support of an APEX advisor, and begin to form your strategy. Here's another look at the site where you can look at any of these categories and look for opportunities where you can take a look at these challenge price competitions. And now we'll move on to the last section of the GIPs. This is the DPA Title III, the Defense Production Act. Now, what is the Defense Production Act? The primary purpose of the DPA is to enhance the government industrial base's ability to produce critical components, minerals, technologies essential for the national defense. Now, this is to provide and to shore up any and all categories that is needed where the government sees or feels that there is a deficiency. Okay, so these vary from time to time depending on what these critical needs are for, again, the national defense. The funds allocated for the DPA projects are managed through the Defense Production Act, which was once known as the Wars Powers Act. Next slide. So it is meant to expand the production and the capability and the current supply chain of the government's industrial base. As I mentioned, the government's industrial base has two sections of it. We have the government industrial base and the defense industrial base. Currently, we are deficient in supply chains. So small businesses, as I mentioned, are down. Biggest growth, economic growth, is in small businesses that we can see. Based on the government's need, these Defense Production Acts are made to increase and also stimulate innovation for current government needs intended for national defense. Next slide. Here's a posting of the release, and they can be pretty broad. In this one, it is a termination of air-breathing engines, advanced avionic position navigations, and guidance systems. Okay, so these are very broad and very specific to the category that needs to be shored up, or that the government sees a shortfall. Next slide. The announcements are posted in the Industrial Base Policies website. Here's a link. So the request for information is normally what you will see in these announcements. We provide a link. And as you can see, there is one from the DoD to expand workforce development in expensive technologies. They're pretty broad and less well-defined. So the request for information is government is looking for information for companies out there that can supply a solution and increase and shore up this deficiency within the government. Next slide. The eligibility is different and not quite as binding as other FAR clauses or contracts that may be tied to programs that are very specific. And so they make determination on application eligibility assistance type depending on the critical need of the government. So very different than a defined contract. Next slide. Now the requirements can come in different forms. When a DP Title III is released, it can be released in a request for R&D, can be requested for in the form of a white paper submission. It can be a flat out proposal that they need a material increased in volume from X to Z, and they need a company that calls for that company to increase their production. They can come in a form of financial capacity. If you need an infusion of capital to take your manufacturing to the next level or to meet the demands of government or the national defense needs, they come in that form. And it can be also a submission. It can be required to submit a proposal. So there's a lot more flexibility that is allowed in these DP Title III, depending again on the need of the government for national defense. Next slide. The investment categories can be, again, the critical production of what is needed, the research and development for the new technology to solve the current needs of the national defense, and it also, again, to increase production, the increased production of a critical need to meet the support of our warfighter. In fiscal 2022, there was 1.2 billion, which was included 600 million for mitigating industrial base constraints and 200 million for expanding domestic capacity for strategic and critical minerals. And again, it is expected to rise in the future. Opportunities are listed in FOIAs, and you can see those opportunities listed in the DoD's Industrial Base Policies website. The link is there listed for you to, again, do your research. Engaging with the government all does start with a SAM registration. If you haven't navigated through the system of award management, which is SAM, I do not recommend that anyone attempt to register their firm alone in SAM. It can be quite confusing, and to be honest, I've never seen a client who's attempted to do it themselves get it right. And trust me, I did not get it right the first time as well. So you do definitely need some guidance. There's some questions in the registration that I kind of equate to voting. If you check the box that says no, it does mean yes. So it can be confusing. So we're here to help. And again, engaging with government is no cost to you. Registration to any of these sites or navigating through any of these channels only require your time investment. Next slide. In summary, I know we covered a lot of ground, but this was an overview of the many GIPs that are out there available. Now you can decide based on your business plan and your product commodity, whether it's new technology, whether it's a commoditized product that increases national defense, you can definitely pick your contract vehicle in order to diversify your offering from your business to government. We're always here to help, and definitely to Amanda's point, ask the questions. Please ask the questions of not just only us, the many governmental agencies that are there to support. We list some of our resources and our partner website agencies where we pull a lot of our information and where we kind of live every day. So the SBIR sites are listed, and all these other sites that we covered today are listed for you to navigate. But again, if you need assistance in navigation and just understanding the government language, because you will need somebody to decipher what you see and help you put together and execute your strategy. Here are some of the resources for you to continue to learn, but also ask the questions. We, of course, have a team and a pool of information from all sectors of government. Our colleagues bring a wealth of information, hands-on experience. As I mentioned, I've had 30 years of government experience in selling to government sectors. Started off as a small business, and by the end of my career, it was a nationwide company. So again, we're here to help. Patience and persistence is another recommendation I give to all my clients is be patient and persistent. Don't give up. Everyone can succeed within government as long as you execute.
Fantastic. And I will
Thank
go
you.
ahead and take over from there. Thank you so much, Frank. It is so much information to cover, but I think you covered it so well. And I loved how you kind of expanded on the points from the slides with your own experiences. And so before we do get into questions, I am seeing a couple of questions. I do want to let everybody know about some other upcoming events you might be interested in joining us for. On March 14th, we're going to be in person in San Francisco for How to Do Business with the State of California. This is an introductory presentation presented by California DGS Office of Small Business, and it's going to be a fantastic event. We have government agencies also joining us for a networking session at the end of that presentation. So if you're looking to do maybe state contracting as well as innovative and federal contracting on this end, that would be a fantastic one to join us at if you're willing to travel or possibly in the area. And then on March 20th, we'll be covering government certifications in our Unlock Your Potential Government Certifications Overview. This event is going to be covering both federal, state, and some local Bay Area certifications as well. Over the course of 2 hours, we'll cover the details from eligibility requirements to where you can apply for them and how to do that. So that's going to be a fantastic one if you're still looking to get your certifications for government contracting. And then we also have another federal event coming up. A representative from GSA will be joining us on April 22nd to give you the lowdown on how to do business with GSA and possibly snag that GSA schedule you've been eyeing. So if any of those sound interesting to you, you can register for them all on our website at apexnorcal.org/trainings. But you will also be getting the recording of this event, as well as the slide deck with these links active and clickable within a week of this event. So you will have all of this information within a week. And with that, we'll go ahead and go into questions. And I believe I just answered a couple of them. You will be getting the PowerPoints with all of the links active and clickable, as well as the recording of this event within 1 week. And we have that 1 week processing time because I do it. Not only do I coordinate the events and help host them, but I also follow up with our attendees and our audience to make sure that you get all the resources that you can have. So I greatly appreciate your patience as I process these details and get them over to you. And let's see, looks like Nadine had a question. Oh, Nadine's with a program manager with Union County APEX Accelerator. I love seeing other APEX accelerators on this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, Nadine. Um, we'll have to talk offline about if Frank could offer time for a DPA Title III event, but please do feel free to email me. I'll go ahead and drop my email in that Q&A for you. And if you all, we do still have a few minutes. If you all have any questions, I do have a question myself, as this often comes up with almost anything related to government contracting, but it's the timelines. So, Frank, I know that timelines are really hard to pin down because they're influenced by so many different things and can be influenced by so many different things at a different time of year. But for SBIR and STTR, to get through all three phases, what kind of average timelines should someone expect from that? Is it a year or is it like years?
I would say years. Phase one can be a 6 month to a 12-month process just in itself. And now phase one is just the pretty much the inception of the project. Phase two is when you're developing your prototype. So phase two can be another year depending on the sector or the industry. If they're in manufacturing, they could maybe need to ramp up tooling to get their manufacturing up to develop a prototype. So to your point, there's a lot of different factors, but just phase one is 6 to 12 months. And
Fantastic.
that's why we always, mention that patience and persistence is definitely needed with any sector of government. But yes, at least we have some timelines, some defined timelines that we can reference. That based on historical applications, we can definitely let people know that these are kind of, expect, a year for phase one at least, and then the prototype, depending on your industry, you can best gauge that.
Yeah. And then we had someone also ask, can we sign up as a client with Apex if we've already signed up for services like Technology Future Group or Tech Futures Group? And the answer is absolutely unequivocally yes. The best part is that we are our own program. Tech Futures is their own program. SBDC is another fantastic resource. That's a small business development center. And the best part, all of these resources are absolutely free, and all of these resources are available to you independently. So you can sign up for Apex. At the same time, you're seeing a counselor at Tech Futures Group. At the same time, maybe you're working on your business plan with SBDC. So absolutely, yes, I would sign up for any and all resources that you think you're going to be needing. Because again, these are free resources that are funded by your government because they want to do business with you. So we are here to make sure that you can do business with them. And any resources is always just another check in your corner. I always think of our counselors as almost like a coach in your corner. There when you need the help and always happy to see you succeed without us.
Very, very good analogy on the coaching because you're just in a football team. You have a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, a quarterback's coach, and that's what you need. You do need a professional in each of the sectors of your business plan. Your business plan as a company should be, look at all the dimensions of the business. You have private industry, you have commercial industry, and then you have government. Again, we focus on government, um, but you do need that commercialization aspect of your business. Remember, these programs are meant for your business to be commercially available. The SBDC can help you develop that commercial client base to sell to the general public as well. And so they're very good at that, at developing your business plan to attack those other two verticals, which is the private sector and the commercial.
Fantastic. And I see two more questions. We do have a little bit more time. So I'd love to answer these last two questions. Someone just posted in the Q&A, for startups at a seed level, would this or any of these government innovation programs be beneficial to a startup at the seed level?
In my experience, yes, I have seen startups apply for an SBIR right out of the gate. The ownership of the startup has a wealth of information in the area of expertise. So they see an opportunity that they can address with their technology or with their expertise, and they develop a small business to address that. Now, the foundation, of course, of your small business is critical. You want to make sure that you have a solid foundation in order to address that one opportunity. I always recommend clients to review the eligibility criteria of that opportunity. In other words, to be eligible, you need XYZ. And if you establish that criteria and you're eligible, yes, you can proceed. As we saw in some of these programs, they're less defined. They don't need a for-profit entity. You can start off as a nonprofit and then maybe change that structure later. So again, depending on your business plan, your business strategy, and your level to execute, yes, you can succeed as a startup, as a pre-venture.
Fantastic. And I do see that we are just about at the top of the hour. Veronica, I did see your question in chat. If you'd like to email our info line, we'll see if we can get you connected with someone who can help with that question. It was a little bit too in-depth to get into at the end of this presentation. But with that, and at the top of the hour, thank you all so much for joining us today. And thank you again, Frank, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you all and have a great rest of your day.
Fantastic. And as you guys are exiting the webinar, you will be redirected to our feedback survey. If you have a brief moment, we always appreciate your feedback because we truly do these events for you. So if we're doing great, we would love to know. If you want to see maybe something else in this vein, please do let us know. And on the flip side, if you have anything that you'd like us to improve upon, or maybe some other topics you would like us to kind of develop webinars about, let us know that as well. The only way that we can make these webinars and trainings better for you is if you let us know what we can do for that. So we appreciate your time and thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.